Hamza, your party is trying to prevent problems from coming when you eventually get into your election. But it seems your main election is going to happen this December to elect national leaders. And you are saying that people who are currently occupying government positions have to resign. And you think that will solve the issues?
That is the official position of the party now. As to whether or not it will solve the issues, I think that it is a discussion we must continue to have. And more, just to refresh your memory, when it comes to that directive, I think I understand that not every government appointee is affected. Chief executive officers and their deputies are obviously affected, managing directors and their deputies, and stuff like that, ministers and deputy ministers of state. Whilst I can accept the rationale behind the directive, I think that it is important in principle for us to be careful and measured, especially when it comes to issues of this nature, that we argue is intended to ensure that the NDC becomes a formidable force in any future election. I know as a matter of fact that in the United States of America, they try to create that distinction between government and party. However, in the United Kingdom, there seems to be that fusion between government and party. So you see the leader of the Labour Party being a member of government and still holding his leadership position. You see the deputy leaders, NEC members still being appointed into government and holding that position. So there is no clear-cut policy that has been tested or proven to be a policy that is not workable. What we need to understand in our current dynamics is the fact that in as much as the objective of the ruling government or the party is to ensure that at least those who are appointed into government stay there, create another platform for us to bring on board fresh minds who will be groomed well enough to also be in charge of party affairs, we must look at the incentives behind such novelties. Moro, I know as a matter of fact that national executives are not being paid. It is hardly you are able to pay them.
The general secretary is paid, right? He's only paid. I think he's paid.
Most of them are supposed to be paid, but in truth, mostly you do not have the resources, especially even in opposition, to keep up with such payments. It's mostly difficult. And what it tells you is that it becomes even more complex when you are in government and you seek to elect fresh minds who are not holding any executive position and tasked with the responsibility of managing party. They would need to rely on the government machinery, whether it is jobs that they will look for people who are sympathetic to the cause, they are looking for avenues to empower party people. They would need to have a very formidable relationship with government appointees.
So, your thinking is that party leaders should also be government appointees, and that if you're government appointees,
no,
you
I'm
shouldn't
saying
necessarily
that
resign.
I do not necessarily disagree. I agree with party's position in principle that they should concentrate on government and
let party
executives. Let party. But I don't think that I find it extremely outrageous for those also arguing that, look, there's nothing wrong with me being a chief executive officer and still holding on to government position, provided that I can discharge my responsibility. That's why I gave you the two.
So currently, your Minister for Youth and Youth Development and Empowerment.
That's Pablo. He's the National Youth Organizer. Yes. And Sami Jemfi is still the National Communications Officer. If it is a job that they can do, in any case, these days, party members hardly go to the party office. They go to these offices because these are the faces they know. So that is why I don't have a problem with those who are what's the name, canvassing for us to allow the likes of Pablo to contest. But in all this, I agree with the party in principle that they should give way for others to come. But I respect that the other school of thought too. But I'm worried. And since our General Secretary has always been forceful in upholding to the principles of the National Democratic Congress, I think that those of us who are also known to have publicly campaigned for him in conformity with that democratic principles, I think that I'm also free to speak my mind on this matter. And one of the principles I have as a member of this party is never to be cowed into submission when it comes to beliefs that I hold dear. I am extremely worried that in as much as I respect his desire to have a working party, his utterances too needs to be measured in a way that in the future it does not hurt the fortunes of the party.
In what sense?
And I'm going to give specific examples. And if he's listening, he's a senior comrade. And one of the principles why I openly campaign for him, yes, one of the reasons why I openly campaign for him, because I know his commitment to the party's principles. But you see, when you are in government, the first utterance I found a bit problematic was the declaration in Kumasi that as a party, he has picked intel that some of our people were engaging, lobbying to get NPP people out of the hook. Whether it is true or not, if it is said publicly, what you have succeeded in doing is to throw in doubt and suspicion amongst the rank and file of the party and government. And that mistrust starts from that place. And it becomes difficult for us to control. As if that was not enough, our General Secretary again proceeded to somewhere in the Volta region, June 4th revolution, and openly referred to those who are calling for Mahama to go for a third term. It is within everybody's democratic right. Many of us may have disagreed with those calls. But these are party people, and we are in government. Our utterances are important. So if you make statements to the point that they are sycophants, it throws in another element of conflict. And these things could spell doom for the party.
But you trust
and
him.
just yesterday,
but he's a no.
just yesterday, the day before yesterday, another word introduced to the dynamics: greed.
But he's a no-nonsense man. You like him?
No, and that is my worry. You see, that is my worry. I respect people who are no nonsense.
So he's shaking the table of government.
This party cannot win power in 2028 without these government appointees, whether they are part of the national executive or not. So the responsibility is not just on the government. It is on all of us to be very measured in the way we do. And I know Fifi Kwetey. Look, when he was campaigning to be General Secretary, I had to abandon someone who had even supported me financially in the past, in my own political dreams, to support his candidature because I believe in him. And that is why when I feel that maybe certain utterances he may not really appreciate the future implications of these utterances, it is my responsibility to prompt him on it. And that is the beauty of the National Democratic Congress.
Yes. Sandra, thank you very much. But I just want to spend 30 seconds on the MPP. You know, one thing that I think we have to say it clearly, that Dr. Bawumia and his campaign team have not been very grateful to the president, the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo.
Really? How?
Yeah, of course. You know, he started the thank you tour with criticism of the fact that he was sidelined in the government. And as Hamza said, and everybody knows, you chaired the EMT for 8 years. You brought policies that some cabinet ministers told you that it will not help us, like NAPCO. When we have industrialization programs, we have agricultural programs, which was lacking investment. The president stood by you, pumped resources behind you. All the claims that he's making about IT, the penetration of technology that he's taking credit for, you have the support of the president. But to go and say publicly, but I'm aware that president reprimanded him in Praeso or Abetifi somewhere, and he stopped saying that. But he and his people have shown great ungratefulness to the president.
But at the time they were not independent. Now they are independent, so they can speak.
They are independent. The second thing is also our security. And Sanda, I think that the institutional incompetence in this country must be checked.
Explain.
How can the IGP say that delegate election of 211,000 people, you are providing on average 1 police officer to 10 delegates?
It's too much or too less?
Does it make commercial sense as a people?
Too much
that
or
we
too
are
less?
Too much.
Why?
Unnecessary.
But we pay them
to see,
protect.
The deployment they are doing today, I'm saying the IGP, and I should be held by a member of parliament, that he should tell us how much it is costing Ghana to deploy police officers. You are
protecting the democratic process.
This is internal election.
We saw what happened when we lost guard in one of the polling stations.
And it was against a colleague of mine.
Yes, so
but I'm saying that that is not a cure.
Yeah, but
we must, you see, we must ensure that we do things properly, whether we're promoting multi-party democracy on economic governance. And I find it inappropriate. 1 police officer to 10 delegates. My last point before I go on to NDC is also policy messaging in this campaign. None. And that,
but that would be
you
for the
see
national
clearly.
election, or?
It is not, because you have to have a platform that speaks to the delegate, platform that speaks to the Ghanaian. And that is why it tells you that this campaign, because Alan is not in the picture, it is not competitive that much. And in the NDC, I think that I will commend them, you know, for coming out to ensure that there is no incumbency advantage for NDC as an institutional organization. Because, you know, and where I disagree with my brother is that, you see, in Africa it's a different ballgame. In UK, I mean, we have all lived there before. When there is voting, I visit a polling center, you go, there's nothing like a candidate's rep. Everything there is controlled by the local council. But here you can't have it. So if you have a DC being a party chairman, it's problematic. And I think that is something that EC itself should find a way to institutionalize. Okay. That when you're in government, you can also have your party officers serving as state officials and leveraging our resources.
Thank you. Frankly,